Hi, guys, and welcome back to I Will Go Down with the Ship. I am Heather,
I'm Chelsea.
and we are really, really lucky to talk to Jackie today. If you guys don't know Jackie, she's done some amazing, amazing Ghoulsy edits. She has a YouTube channel, and the one that's getting a lot of traction right now is her AU babysitter Cooper and Lucy one that I've watched like 15 times.
Oh,
Um, I even shared it with my husband. I was like, you have to see this. I'm interviewing this person today. So,
oh my gosh.
yeah. Yeah, he was excited for me. I don't think sometimes they get it, but it's fine. It's the talent of it behind it. So, so Jackie, we've been talking to people and we wanted to know what are your top three ships? They can be from like early on, they can be right now, it doesn't matter. So if you have top three, who would you be?
I'd say like one of my first, or maybe I'll do it chronologically. So my very first ship was Troy and Gabriella from High School Musical,
Uh-huh.
and they were like my OTP when I was like 10 years old when that movie came out, and they were actually what got me into video editing and fandom. So they
Uh-huh.
always have like a special place in my heart. And then I think when my first enemies to lovers ship would be Damon and Elena from Vampire Diaries.
Oh
Oh,
yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Girl, I love Yeah. Elena, yes. And then maybe my third one would be Gulsi because I feel like they kind of reinvigorated my shipping heart in a way because I feel like I've been kind of like removed from fandom for a while and then I kind of went off the deep end in the fandom, like on Twitter, like as you all know. But
Yep.
yeah, I'd say like those are the three ships that perfectly encapsulate who I am.
I feel like you said, like I haven't been part of a fandom since like 2014, really. Like, and all the ones that I was part of, I almost kind of like missed the boat when it was like
Mhm.
happening, you know what I mean? And so to be part of this one while it's happening is just so much fun, but also annoying at the same time. Like just the antis and just me and Chelsea don't do like this the drama or anything, but like just being part of like having those back and forths with like people like-minded, that's fun.
It
Yeah.
is. It's so wild though, because I've never been like in a fandom while content was happening
Yeah.
before actively, except for maybe the Harry Potter Dialogue Center back in the day when I did like text role plays, like way, way back.
No, for sure. But yeah, so you said that High School Musical kind of got you into video editing. So I have to know, like, Chelsea and I are writers. So like we can hear music and we can like see a scene like play in our head of like whatever we're writing. How do you pick the song? And then how do you pick the clips that go with that song? Like, how do you
Yeah,
do that?
I feel like it's hard to explain because I guess it's just how my brain works. But I'd say it's a little bit similar. It sounds like with how both of you approach writing. So for me, it always starts with the song,
Okay.
and I think like there's a different like everyone has their own style. Like some people they might go for maybe like a song that's more like popular and fun, but like
Right.
for me, the song has to really match the tone of like what the piece of media is and the ship itself.
Yeah.
I always like go with the song, and I usually will look for like lyrics that kind of fit what I'm going for. And I have I usually I guess the way I approach like longer video edits, like some of the YouTube ones I've done is I think of like a facet of the relationship that I want to explore,
Hmm.
and I like to tell a story. So I really think of what aspects of the relationship I want to focus on for that video, and then from there, like if it's something that I've watched recently, it's easy for me to think of clips and voiceovers that go with it. So I feel like with my follow edits, I've been able to make them really fast because it's very fresh in my head.
Yeah.
Um, and like I feel like I'm not really explaining this well, but like the ideas just pop in my head, like the clip ideas, and then or sometimes I'll just be like thinking, oh, I think there's something that might work like at this part of the episode, and I'll just be like scanning the episode, and then I'll just so happen to find something that fits perfect. Like sometimes it's just luck.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I feel like I've got my workflow down where like I pick the song and then I think of what the story I want to tell for that edit and choose my clips according to that.
I think that like talking about the right thing, because that was the one that I saw and I was like, oh my gosh, one of the clips or I guess the foils that I loved was um when it zoomed in on Cooper's finger when he's like taking the lavender taffy, and then obviously that's the same finger that he takes from Lucy after she bites it off, and just sort of that juxtaposition in that, I was like, that was so perfect, because I don't think a lot of people realize not even obviously the exchange, but that scene with Barb, and they zoom in on the finger, and it's such a random moment to zoom in on that I was
Mm-hmm.
like, whoa, like and I didn't even catch it the first time. I had to do that rewatch, and I loved that you picked that up and you put that in the video, because it was such, for me it was like, why did they zoom in? Like that has to be significant, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
and that reminds me because since you brought up that video, like I was trying to really think back of like my thought process when I was making that, and it was funny because when I made that video, I wasn't exactly a shipper yet. Like I was just really like intrigued by their dynamic, but I wasn't like full blown like I am now. And it was more so like exploring those parallels like you said, because I think when I started going on Twitter and like reading like all these threads with like the parallels on the screenshots, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is something like I need to like put these in a video somehow. And I realized like that's also what I like about video editing, because you can like take those moments and connect them in a way
yeah,
that it's hard, like if it's just like a meta post or something like with screenshots. Like I think you can draw more parallels that way when you're like making it sequential
yeah,
uh, with the
And
video.
it hits different when you see it playing out
yeah,
visually, like in video on screen.
Mm-hmm.
especially
Yeah,
paired with the right music.
Yes.
yeah, I know. And when I chose that song, like at first I was like, okay, this has the vibe that I want. But then when I realized like the whole concept of the song was like doing the right thing, and then they had that line in the show, and it was like, oh, you always, what did
Try
he say to
Right.
Barb? He's like,
You always
oh, you
try to
always
do
try
the
to do
right
the
thing.
right thing.
That's why I
Yeah,
love you.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is perfect. Like I need to end the video like on this with this voiceover. So I was really excited about that.
that's
Also, I
awesome.
to bow down to you having the patience to pull all the clips and do all of that, because like literally one time I attempted to, like, I pulled a clip with me talking about the scene where Monty wipes his dick off on the curtain, and I think I averaged like one swear word for every 10 seconds in that short little 30-second clip. And I had to bleep myself out 3 different times, and I'm going through on CapCut and having to like bleep myself out and then like silence the swear word and all this different stuff. And I'm like, people who make video edits have the patience of a god, because I just do not, like, wow. I am in awe of you because I do not have the patience to do that.
Thanks.
How
I'm
long
just
does
used
it
to it.
take? How long does it take to like make like, obviously you did how long did it take to make the AU babysitter one? And then how long did it take to make the right thing? Because obviously that one's 3.5 minutes, and then the AU babysitter is like 28 seconds. So like,
It's yeah, it's funny. I think I made both of them very fast. Like
oh really?
because I was because like you were saying, Chelsea, like I think it goes smoother for me now because I think the right thing was the first one I made, and right before that I cut all the clips like for all their scenes from each episode, so I have those like ready to go now, so I can like easily pull clips.
Yeah.
Um, and I might have done the right thing one in like a couple of days, but maybe like I don't know, I was guessing maybe like 5 hours a day. Um, but with the babysitter you and all the AUs I've been making because they're so short, like I think I made that in one night. Like I was literally watching the unicorn with Joss. I don't know if
Yeah,
um
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, we know her in the fandom, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have an AU idea. And I'm like, I'm gonna open my laptop after we finish this episode. and I started it, I think, at like 9:30 p.m. and then I basically got it done at like 11:30 p.m. And then the next morning I just like um added some like extra like effects and then I posted it. So if I'm really struck with the inspiration, like I can make it really fast.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And like quick congratulations to Joss, by the way,
I
on
know.
getting a literary agent. That's
I
amazing.
know. We're actually gonna meet up this weekend and celebrate because we live near each other, surprisingly. But we met in the fandom and then we realized we live close to each other, so we've met up once before.
That's awesome. That is
Excellent.
so cool. That's why I love
Mhm.
fandom. Like,
Mhm.
drama aside, like I love that stuff.
Yes. I'm so excited because I am about to have to help my cousin. Well, not have to, but I am about to help my cousin move to Michigan. And like while I'm on that trip, I'm going to try to meet up with Heather. And
Yes.
then this fall, I'm going to try to make a trip up to, gosh, my brain's blanking right
Is it
now.
North Carolina?
Yeah, North Carolina and see Manda
Yeah.
too.
Oh my gosh, wow. And did you all just meet in this fandom or did you know each other?
Me
Heather
and
and I know each
Chelsea.
other from before
Yeah.
because, like, we know each other from the author community and writing.
Okay.
And then we started this podcast together because we were both like obsessing over Fallout. And I was like, we need to talk about this in the context of like writing and plotting and character development and like, character motivations and stuff like that. And then we were both shipping Ghoulsey so hard. I was like, we have to talk about this.
Mhm.
But like I did not know Manda before Twitter, but now I'm like, that's my bestie, and I'm gonna go meet her in real life.
I love that.
Yeah, definitely. So, so you said that when you were making the right thing, you didn't quite ship them. What made you? What were you like, okay, I'm all in? Like,
I think it was some of the parallels that I saw. I can't think off the top of my head because I feel like there's just so much now.
yeah, I know.
Like, but let me think. Oh, I think it was the parallels of each of their individual character journeys.
Hmm.
Um, especially and how it comes full circle, like in the finale.
Yeah.
Um, and I think as I'm trying to reflect back. Um, I don't know because I think one of my favorite aspects of their relationship is like how Lucy's bringing back his humanity in some way.
Yeah.
And I think that's also what I wanted to explore in that right thing video, like how he is kind of influencing her. Sorry, my cat.
Oh no, it's
He's
okay.
trying to get in my room. 1 second. How he is kind of helping, or like she's hardening herself, like the more time that she spends on the surface, and at the same time, like she's able to bring out his humanity, and it's just like so fascinating.
Yeah, it's funny because Chelsea and I we're doing our watch through because we're analyzing these episodes, and it's so funny to watch Lucy like right after the whole like she leaves Cooper, that she desperately wants to prove Cooper wrong, but it's constantly in a way proving him right. And then when I think the minute she shoots her mom in that mercy killing kind of thing, she does realize like there's, like he is right. And I loved that. I love that they both learn from each other. It's not just him teaching her everything. It's this equal sort of mutually beneficial kind of relationship that they have, whether they think it's beneficial or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that Walton has said that he played the "You Comin" softly on purpose because of
Yeah.
everything that he just witnessed Lucy going through in that moment.
I know he's the captain of the ship at this
I know.
point.
I am totally, but I buy that he does. And that's what we were just talking about with Aaron. We were just like, no, I think that he genuinely does ship it because he's come out and said it's not father-daughter. He's come out and said he wants to explore the dynamic between the two of them together. And then he's also come out and said a bunch of just of these that Barb is basically the devil. And it's just like I feel like maybe he can't come right out and say it because he doesn't want to necessarily alienate the rest of the fandom, but I totally believe that it ships it, or at the very least, that is the direction that there's too much. I feel like there's way too much that they planned where it can't not go that way, you know?
I feel
Yeah.
like maybe he doesn't want to drop accidental spoilers potentially. He
True.
doesn't want to alienate the people that don't ship it. Like there's a lot of options there for why he maybe won't like come out and directly say it, but for me at least the vibes are there.
Well,
Yeah.
the second he said it wasn't father daughter, like that sold me because he didn't necessarily have to come out and make sure that people knew. He could have let people just interpret it the way that they wanted to interpret it, whether he felt they were right or wrong, but he shut that down so fast that I was just like, okay, I see what's going on here. So,
Yeah. And for me, it's all about the potential. Like, because when I was first watching, I was like, ooh, this is kind of spicy. Like, I'm into this. But then it was in the finale, like, when she actually joined him, I was like, oh my God, like, never in my wildest dreams with my ships, like, would this happen? Like, where the heroine,
right?
like, goes with the, not exactly like antagonist or like the anti-hero of the story, I guess, but I was like, oh my God, like, and then they're gonna basically spend the whole second season together. It's like,
Just the two of them, forced
yeah,
proximity. Like,
I
I'm
know.
so here for it.
Yeah,
They are really serving us so much to work with, and I love it so much. Like it's so much to work with, like for fanfics, for video edits, like everything across the fan spectrum. Like for our podcast, like they're giving us so much to analyze. Like
What would you want to see in season 2, Jackie? Like, are there any
mhm,
scenes that you want to see happen? I mean, obviously, like for me, it's like I want it to be slow burn. So I know people say like I want them to make out or have sex, and as long as there's a time lapse, I'm fine with it. But I don't want them to rush the relationship either. But what about you? Like, what do you want to see like happen?
yeah, I feel the same way about slow burn because it's funny because like Damon and Elena, like going back to them, they were like my OTP, and especially like in the first couple seasons when it was just like all the angst, like that was what I loved. But then when they got together, like I got bored.
Yeah. I don't think
And
writers know how to write couples together, especially in TV.
yeah,
And I think that that sucks because it's like Damon and I didn't get into the Vampire Diaries. Like I got into True Blood. And so it's like
mm-hmm.
my thing was Eric and Sookie,
Like
which is
it's like
again that enemies to lovers thing.
yeah,
And I just felt like they needed to create drama. They need to separate the characters. They need to do all of this stupid shit. And I'm just like, why? And so the second that they get together and it's
mhm,
like, then you suddenly forget how to write angst. Like they can still be angsty together. Like I don't understand that like at all. Um,
yeah.
so yeah.
But I'm with you. I think I'm trying to think of tropes or like just little scenes that I would like to see. I guess like I want them to retain like their banter, which
Yeah.
I'm sure that they will, because it's not like overnight they're gonna become besties.
Hmm.
Oh, I think like I slowly want Cooper to like reveal part of his backstory. Like I need like her to have the realization of like who he really is.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't want it to be early in the season, maybe later in the season, or even like a future season. That's something I definitely want to see. Um,
Do you think she had a crush on Cooper Howard when yeah.
yes, like
I,
like
I
like why wouldn't she? Like,
I think the fandom collectively that is
yeah,
like a headcanon, like that
yeah,
she reached her sexual awakening to Cooper Howard. So
yes, like I don't see like how that couldn't be the case.
yeah,
In
right.
the environment that she lived in, and also like
as obsessed as
not
her
like
dad was with Cooper Howard movies, like that
yeah,
1,000% happened.
yeah.
Chelsea, oh my gosh, I just got hit with something. What if the reason she has such a huge crush on Max is because he reminds her of Cooper Howard in his movies?
I can see it. I can see it.
Like good Cooper Howard. Because remember, like Cooper
Yeah,
Howard was like the good guy until
Mhm.
that last movie.
Yep.
Yeah,
Gosh.
did you? I forgot who said it. I feel like someone also had a headcanon about like the speech that she gives him, like when they first meet, and she's like, um, like I,
Reciting it.
yeah, like it's like reminiscent of like a speech that he gave like in one of his movies, and I
Yes.
love that idea too. Like he, oh, I think that's also like something that inspired me to. Oh my gosh, my cat is like jumping on everything. um, something that inspired me is the idea that a lot of who she is and like how her vault was created revolves around like this idealized image of like Cooper Howard, like with the
Hmm.
suit, and also like this highly like moral, like ethical society, and like how that shaped like her worldview.
Yeah.
Um,
Actually, I could totally see that because Hank was so obsessed with Cooper Howard. And
yeah,
now Cooper Howard's gonna fuck his daughter, which is I
the
feel like
best.
if Cooper Howard wasn't such like a dick, it would be like he's living vicariously through his daughter. Like he would like ship it. Like if this was AU modern times and he
Yeah.
wasn't like a jerk at like I just feel like that would happen. Anyway. Um but yeah, Chelsea and I really want also like the one bed trope. We really want them to get somewhere and there's only one bed.
No, it's so funny because I literally, because I didn't play the games. I don't know about you, but like I had to
No,
look
I
it up. I
didn't.
was like, oh, because I don't know if you saw my tweets, but there was this age gap romance book that I was reading.
Yes, I
And
saw it.
yeah, and it was so reminiscent of them. And I'm like, I need like all of these scenes, like word for word, to be in season two. And
Oh,
I
like
wanted like, oh, sorry, what?
need to like send me the link to that book because I feel
Yeah.
like I need to read
Yeah.
that book immediately.
Yeah, I will after this. It was life-changing. But yeah, like speaking of like the one bed trope, I Googled, I was like, do ghouls sleep? Like, can I get like this one bed trope? Like, are they gonna like I wanted like her watching him sleep or her watching her sleep or them sleeping together in some way. And I was like, does he even sleep as a ghoul? And I guess they do. So I was like, okay, maybe this can happen.
Yeah. They're finally like in a settlement somewhere safe. And so it's like there's one bed, and Lucy's like, no, we're adults. Like, we're consenting adults. We can sit there, you don't have to sleep on the floor. And then they start off on the edge of the bed and then they
And
roll
then they
into
end up
it.
cuddling and
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh man. I
I
love
need
that.
in my life.
I also want to see uh ghoul fucker. Like we want to see it where like someone calls Lucy a ghoul fucker just by being associated with Cooper and seeing like how he reacts to it, and like Lucy getting so mad on his behalf because she's like, who cares who I sleep with as long as we're two consenting adults. Like
And like has her little rant, another little speech. And like, can I just say that like I shipped Ghoul C like when we saw the promo material before the
same.
ever dropped. And
Ooh.
then like I shipped it harder starting in episode 2 when Lucy shot him when the trank with the trank gun, and he just like he smirks at her and like pulls it out and is like, that's a very small drop in a very big bucket of drugs. Like, and he's just so amused by the whole entire situation with her. I was like, yep, that's my ship. The confirmed.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I just love that. What about any theories that you have? Like, and it doesn't necessarily have to pertain to Goolsey. It could be one or the other or a different character. But do you have any like theories that you think might happen as we get along in the seasons?
I have a depressing theory, but I'm hoping they don't go this direction. But I really feel like they're foreshadowing Cooper dying in some way and her having to take him out. Like, I just have this idea of like him going feral, and then she, and like he doesn't want to hurt her or something. And
Yeah.
then he's like, he asks her to kill him.
Right.
But, and I don't want that to be the case, obviously, but like, I feel like it would be so poetic because of like their scenes in season one, but yeah, I hope that
Well,
doesn't.
well, and even that's an interesting theory because whether I want it to happen or not, for him to even trust her enough to ask her to be the one to put him out, like that would say so much, I think.
And
Um, Yeah, and I also think that, like you said, one of the biggest revelations for Lucy is that sometimes killing can be a mercy. And we see that when he kills Raj, and then 4 episodes later when she kills her own mom. So,
Mhm.
like you said, it would be poetic. I'm hoping that that doesn't happen.
Right. We talked extensively about this, and like, please God, just like let let the creators of the show hear this and like hear us out as, you know, like as consumers of your media. There is a big faction of us who do not want to see you martyr Cooper just for like morality reasons or whatever. Like, you have already established for us very clearly that morality is different in the wasteland than the current morality in the world that we live in here and now. So like, we don't have to go that direction.
Yeah.
And like, if you could like not do that to Cooper Howard, please, I'm begging you. Please don't.
Or if they do something similar, it's almost like Beauty and the Beast, where it's a transformation, or
Mhm.
like, you know what I mean? Like where the beast died. And I don't want him to necessarily come back to Cooper Howard. I want Cooper to be the ghoul. I don't want, like what Chelsea was saying in terms of morality, like I don't want him to have to regain his looks or his outer appearance in order to earn that humanity. I want him to stay the ghoul, exactly who he is, and be accepted for that. But it would be interesting, like the only way I see him sacrificing himself, I think it has to do with Janie. And I hope that that isn't what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um, do you think Janie's alive?
I think she is, but I go back and forth thinking about like if she's older or
Mm-hmm.
younger. Maybe she was like frozen. I
I
don't know
wonder,
if that's the term.
like, yeah, I wonder, like, I have like different theories. I wonder if she is like frozen somewhere in one of the like the cryotube type things, like Norm is now
Mhm.
currently, or is it a situation like I played the Fallout games, and in the beginning of the Fallout game, like you're all like tricked into going in a vault where you get frozen in the cryotubes, and then your partner and your child are frozen in a tube across from you, and then you get defrosted just long enough to see some people come in and kill your partner and steal your child. And then you get frozen again, but when you wake up later, uh you're you're going to try and find your child, and you end up going to the institute and your child is a synth. And
Mhm.
I'm wondering if that's the direction that they're going to go with Janie, possibly.
Oh,
That would be interesting. Because when we got to Vault 31, when we got to I think it's episode 8, it's more like all of the people in Vault 33, they weren't the top tier. They're not Barb's level. They were like the assistants, like still high
mhm.
up. So I'm wondering if there is that second vault, because Barb was so, the reason she did all of these terrible things was to get into the best vault. And so I'm wondering if we haven't even seen that vault yet. But is she out like Hank is, and she's overseer of her vault, or is she still like frozen? And then, the Janie aspect, because it would be interesting and awful for Cooper to see his daughter like almost like as an adult or even an older person, only to realize like I
He
never got
lost
to
an
wit
entire lifetime with her.
Yeah,
exactly.
that makes me think. I think I could see it going where she is older and more like indoctrinated, like into vault tech. Because I'm remembering when in one of the flashbacks when Barb was like, "Oh, like we could get her a job like
Yeah.
at vault tech or
Oh,
whatever."
that's
So
right. Yeah.
yeah, so I could see her being like a mini version of Barb, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I know that
But yeah,
some people have said like that like Janie might not even recognize Cooper, and I feel like that would be the worst thing, or like she flinches or is scared of him because of who he is. And obviously like the more optimistic are like no, she would recognize him. And I don't know which one would serve the story better. I don't know which one I would want. I
Right.
don't know, but it's definitely an interesting question because I do too think that Janie is alive because I think she's the reason he's looking when Cooper's like, where's my family or whatever. I think he's only referencing Barb because he wants answers, not because he actually considers her to mean anything to him anymore, you know?
Yeah, that actually is making me think, um, because I'm going back to like that line. I forgot his name, the doctor's name, when he's like,
Wilzig.
when you, yeah, when, well, you still want the same things when you become a different person. I think now at his stage, like Cooper, like his primary goal is somewhat reuniting his family or being reunited at least with Janie. But I think he himself now is going through that same transformation. So maybe like when he finds them in the future, like that might not be the happy ending that he wants for
Mm.
himself, or maybe he'll realize like it's not possible. I feel like that's
Almost like what Lucy has to realize with her dad, because I do think there's a part of her that thinks that she can talk to her dad and be like, oh, it's just like I want my answers about my mom, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I think that when she confronts her dad, she's going to have to realize like this isn't going to turn out the way that you want to. Like, and so maybe it the foreshadowing is having her killing her dad is essentially her killing her past and her ties, you know, to the vault. Um, but I mean, it would be interesting. And I think that Cooper has to do the same thing. He needs to talk to Barb and get answers the same way that Lucy needs to talk to her dad. And that's why I love that sort of like parallel is like they're both searching for the same thing. Um, and so, yeah, I really don't want them to redeem Barb. Based on everything Walton has said, Cooper thinks that she's the devil. So I'm hoping that she can just be a villain to be a villain. Like, we don't need everyone to get a redemption arc here. Like, some people are just assholes, and that's fine. Um, but what about you? Like, what are your thoughts on Barb and Janie and stuff like that?
first of all, it just makes me sad thinking about it. Just like the
Right?
all the flashback scenes, like I've tried to edit them. Like I made a very short edit of like the Cooper family, and it made me so sad. Like I couldn't um make a longer one, but I I am with you on his relationship with Barb. Like I don't see them reconciling in any way. Um, but I yeah, and same thing with Janie. I guess we'll see. It's really up in the air.
Yeah.
But I think yeah, I don't know. I just don't see the end game of like Cooper's character being like reuniting with his family.
So you don't see him getting that closure, or do you
I
see
see him
him
getting closure, but I don't see that's where
the
his story.
happy ending? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
that makes sense.
I'm still like my brain is still hung up on Wilzig and like how did he and the Institute know as much as they knew about
Oh
Lucy
yeah.
and her family and whatnot? And
Mhm.
like, is Janie somehow involved with the Institute? Is
Mhm.
my question. Like, but like I like have severe reservations about that also because like if Janie is involved with puppy killers, I'm upset.
Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be really interesting. If you could pick how, okay, uh, if you could pick how Cooper realizes that he's falling in love with Lucy and how Lucy is falling in love with Cooper, what would the moment be? Or if you could do like a little like video to it, like
Oh
what
my
would the moment be? It doesn't have to be obviously not season one, but like if you could create this, like based on the knowledge of the characters, how do you think Cooper would realize that he loves or he was in love with Lucy?
Hmm. It's funny because lately I've been thinking about the opposite, like how Lucy realized she was in love with him. So maybe I'll start there.
Okay,
I
go for
and
it.
I think this is inspired by the book that I just read, but I really want to see her get jealous in some way.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
because a lot of people say it's going to be Cooper getting jealous, which I'm also
yes.
here for, but I would love to see, yeah,
Yeah, and like
Lucy
for
getting
not
jealous.
realize that's what's happening. Um, and for so I think that would be delicious to see that because I think everyone or like a lot of when I seen like we think of their relationship progressing into like this one-sided like pining on Cooper's part in
Right.
some ways, but I think it would be so cool to see it like flipped. And for Cooper, I think, hmm, I think it would have to be like she is in danger somehow,
Yeah.
and he has to rescue her.
Yeah, like she gets shot
Mhm.
and or whatever. Um, I love that. I love I love the jealousy thing because I think that we see it on guys all the time. And I think I love it on guys, like as a reader and a watcher of it, especially with my ship. But I do agree that when the girl gets jealous, we don't see that a lot because, I think it's because a lot of women don't want to tolerate their guy with even the thought of with someone else.
Mhm.
But I really like that because I could see her. Do you think that she propositions Cooper the way that she did with Max about having sex?
I think she has to, like, she's just so forward, and I love it, and she knows what she wants, and I don't think she thinks of it as a big deal, like, it's not
Right.
exactly transactional, but it's just like, "Oh, we're humans, we, like, have these needs, like, why not?" And I think it will oh my gosh, I need that too, like, and then, Cooper being the one that really takes, like, sex and relationships seriously, and he's like, "No, we can't," like and then I think that bringing out his feelings too, like, because it would be
Yeah.
a bigger deal emotionally for him. I wanna see that play out.
I want to
Um,
see him find her scar on her stomach and be like, who did this to you?
oh my gosh, that'd be amazing too.
Oh my gosh, that would be
I
the
would
best.
love to see that moment, like the "Who did this to you" moment about the scar from Monty and her, like I really kinda almost wanna see her be, like, dismissive about it, like, "Oh, that was my husband for the trade," but, like,
And
it
he's like,
turned
wait, hold the fuck up, husband.
and, like, yeah, him have, like, a whole moment about it,
Yeah.
and she can just be like, "Oh, he's dead. I killed him." And then you can just, like, see, like, a little flash of pride on Cooper's face, like,
Or that's my girl, my
"Yeah,
little
that's my
killer.
girl. Yep,
Yeah.
that's my little killer," like,
Yeah.
that would hit so hard. Oh, that would be so good.
Oh man. But yeah, how do you think they do finally get together? Like, were they both either not necessary? I don't know if confessing feelings would be in character, but like, how do you think it's shown or told that, okay, they do have feelings for each other and they acknowledge it?
I almost wouldn't expect it to really happen, maybe towards, like, the end of the show or the story,
For sure.
in a way where, like, they are given some choice of, let's say, like, I don't know, this is very hypothetical. Like, let's say,
Of
like,
course.
Lucy's given the choice to, like, go back to the vault or something and, like, go back to her happy life, but then she chooses to stay with him, or, like, he chooses to stay with her in some way, almost like the way that season 1 ended, where
Yeah.
they mutually agreed to continue their journey together.
Yeah.
Um, I see it more that way, like, a little open-ended.
That's how I see it. Like if we don't get the hardcore ship, that's how I want it to end.
Mhm.
And I think that the moments of it being like, did you ever watch Netflix's like The Punisher or Daredevil or any of that? I'm not sure if you've seen
Uh,
any of that.
I've I've seen edits of them, so I'm, like,
Okay.
somewhat familiar, but I didn't, like, watch each of them all the way through.
No, that's fine. So like one of my bigger ships is like Karen Page and The Punisher. And like
Mhm.
we would have gotten them together, I think, if they had gotten in the third season, but it's very heavily implied that they have feelings for each other. They just don't come out and say it. And I feel like if we don't get this huge confession of feelings and a kiss and sex and whatever, I think it's going to be shown through those actions. So, like, I feel like if Lucy picks Cooper over the vault, that is her way of saying, you, like, I want you, like, you're my home or you're safe or whatever. But I feel like, okay, what does Cooper do? Like, what would his sort of action point be to confess to Lucy without saying the words?
Mm. I don't know. Honestly, I think I haven't thought that far ahead with
Oh
him.
no, no. Yeah. I think already that he's willing to travel with her because I feel like he's such an isolated person. And even if they want the same things, and even if he needs her to get to Hank, I feel like he could literally knock her out and drag her across the wasteland, or he could tie her up the way that he already did. Like, I feel like the fact that they're going to go to this together, that already says that she's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that that reminds me, I think thinking back to their all of their scenes together, something that I love is how he does see her as an equal and like how he talks to her because
Yeah.
everyone else he acts like they're ignorant or they're stupid. But he is so thoughtful with like how he talks to her. It's almost like he's talking to himself, like when he was like reflecting on like the studies or whatever when he was like
Yeah.
torturing her. And then I love his speech at the end of episode 8 when he was like reflecting on like there's always someone behind the wheel like controlling everything and I want to talk to them. Like that's the most one of the most honest things he's ever said.
Yeah.
Yep.
um so I think like just getting more of those moments where they really connect is going to be really good.
I have a theory. I have a theory. I think they're gonna get to Hank, and Hank's maybe gonna like give Cooper some kind of breadcrumb about where he can find Barb and Janie. But maybe Hank is going to get some kind of communication from Betty that Norm is in cryosleep in Vault 31 now. Like Norm's been acting up, he's been causing problems, blah blah blah. He's in cryosleep in Vault 31. What do you want to do about this? And Hank's going to hold on to this information to try to use it against Lucy to get her to come home. Right?
Ooh.
Mhm.
And Hank is going to dangle this information out there to try to, like manipulate Lucy in some way. And so Cooper is going to have a choice at this point. Do I go after what I've been after for 200 plus years? Do I go after my family? Do we part ways here, or do I help the Vaulty go after her brother and get
Mm.
sidetracked by bullshit
Mhm.
before I go after my family? And
I
I
love
think
that.
his way of saying I love you in this situation without verbally saying I love you would be to stay with Lucy and help her go get Norm before he tries to continue to go and find Janie.
And that's when Lucy rejects the vault and they leave the vault and she helps
And
Cooper
she
find
like brings
Janie.
Norm with her. And I don't know if they would try to liberate Chet also, or if Chet's gonna
I
be
I would die to see Chet in the wasteland. I'm not gonna lie. Like
right.
that would
I
be
would
hilarious. He
I
and
would pay
Thaddeus
such
need to
good
team up.
money.
Oh my
Yes.
god. Yes.
I would pay such good money to see Chet in the wasteland. I love him. Chet is baby.
Yeah.
He's precious. Like, but I would really love to see what choice Chet would make.
To
Given
Chet
the
would make?
option that Chet would make,
Oh.
like, if Norm, like, if Lucy and Cooper come to get Norm and Norm's like, no, we gotta go get Chet, and then they confront Chet with this, and he's, is he gonna stay or is he gonna go?
And then like Lucy just mentions, oh yeah, he's my cousin. We did cousin stuff. And Cooper's just
And
looking at her like,
Cooper's
what
gonna
the
lose
fuck
his
is
shit.
cousin stuff? Like what? And then he looks at Chet, he's like, this motherfucker, you did. I would just
Right? Like
die.
there would be so much comedic value to be
Oh
had
my
in
gosh.
that. And I really like genuinely want to see Chet wrestle with that question of like, do I stay here with Steph
Mhm.
and this baby in this vault, or do I go with Norm and Lucy and this ghoul into the wasteland? Like, do I keep my head in the sand and continue being a coward, or do I wake up to the real world? Like, I would love to see that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I could see his arc being overcoming his fear and his being comfortable in the vault because I one of my favorite lines is when like Norm asked him to come with him and he was like oh, and Norman's like, oh, you're a coward. He's like, we're all cowards because
Yeah.
we live in a vault.
Yeah.
But I could see like him grappling with that, like if Lucy comes back asking for his help and realizing like I shouldn't be a coward, like I should fight for things and stand up for things. So I could see that happening for Chet.
And then
Right?
I
Like
would love to see
so satisfying.
that would I see if that does happen, I would see him having a good sacrifice martyring arc. Like I could see that, and that I would hate it, but I would also that would serve the story.
Like
I
that
would
would be
love
a beautiful moment, I feel like.
Oh yeah, I would love to see Norm like meet Lucy and the ghoul and just like he already knows shit's happening and he basically goes to Lucy and he's like, I told you you were gonna marry a cannibal or whatever.
Can we talk about like that line? Like there's no reason that he would have said that. Like it has to be foreshadowing
It
in some.
has to be. Well, the thing to me, like I always go back. Did you ever watch Game of Thrones?
No.
Okay. So like Sansa is like one of the Stark girls, but she's like the really pretty one and she's like the one who believed in fairy tales and that she's going to marry this beautiful prince and he's going to treat her like a princess, whatever. And that was like her initial arc. And what winds up happening is she gets married. They marry her to Tyrion Lannister, who's played by Peter Dinklage, who's like
Mhm.
he's the dwarf, right? And it was so satisfying because it's like it's complete. They purposefully set that up in like, oh, I want to marry, he's supposed to be X, Y, and Z. And Joffrey's like the biggest douchebag on the planet. Like he's
Mhm.
a terrible monster. And it's like I loved that dichotomy of like actually the one you think is a monster is actually the one that treats you and respects you as an equal. And I totally, so the second I heard that with Norm the first time, I was like, no, there's no way he says that. Like, that was too on the nose.
Yeah, and I don't remember who said it, but someone also made that comparison with the episode when Lucy and Max are in that other vault and she makes all these presumptions about the vault dwellers because they don't look quote
Right.
unquote normal, and then she realizes she made a mistake. So it's just like another through line with that theme of not judging a book by its cover.
Right? And
Which,
nothing is what you think it is.
yeah,
Like you always have to look beneath the surface and like not make assumptions. And I love that so much about this show.
yeah.
Mhm.
I think, yeah, I love it. I think that there's too much here for it to, if it's not Endgame, then it's like you said, they both choose to sort of leave their past and kind of create this found family, with CX404 on their own or whatever. Um, but there is one, so I saw this artwork, I think it was on Tumblr, and I don't want them to be separated at all, but it was like really cool because it was like there was a separation and like it's been like 6 months and Lucy has like this bounty on her head. And so
Yeah.
Cooper has to go and like not take her in, but protect her from the other bounty hunters. And I loved that idea. I thought that was so good. And like Lucy's like liberating all of these ghouls and like pissing everybody off in the wasteland.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think that this is such a great show. And do you have any artists where you're like, it's your go-to, like, okay, I know I want to make a video. Who can I listen to kind of inspire me? Or do you have to hear the song first and then you get the idea for the video?
Um I think I have to hear the song first. Like I have like songs that I have a whole playlist of songs like I want to edit,
Mhm.
but that I'm kind of saving for like the right ship or the right theme. And then sometimes I'll be able to go through that list and I'm like, okay, this is the one, like this fits. And lately I've been making like playlists for ships. So like I have like a Goal Seed Spotify playlist right now.
Give me some songs that are on that. I love hearing songs
Okay,
that are
yeah,
on that. Yeah.
let me pull it up right now. Let me see. I haven't listened to it in a while.
Chelsea, do you have any songs that like you hear it there? It's like, oh, that's so cool. See?
Um,
Mm,
like some of them are just
there's not necessarily one that's goalsy for me, but like there's this one song that I'm obsessed with and I connect to a lot of characters, but this song to me is very Cooper Howard as the ghoul and it's the Johnny Cash cover of Hurt,
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
originally by
Mhm.
Nine Inch Nails. Like that's so Cooper Howard is the ghoul coded.
Yeah, definitely. I realize some of these are just like songs like I've seen edits for or like I've edited. So um
And
I
also
think
another like speaking of covers, but like one also that made me think of Cooper Howard as the ghoul, but like ironically, is the Marilyn Manson cover of the Johnny Cash song "God's Gonna Cut You Down."
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I like that one.
um one second. I just remember there's one song that I have a fantasy I'm gonna edit the song like when we get more of Cooper's story, but I feel like it really captures I think where I want their dynamic to go. And it started from like an ironic post from Rachel. I don't know if you follow her, but she was doing like the live reaction tweets and she
Mhm.
made this tweet about um like it was a lot it's the song is Iris by Goo Goo Dolls and he was like
I love
Yes.
that
I
song.
know, and it was like when everything feels like the movies, and it was like him a screenshot of him like walking out of the door when he like kills that kid, like with the family that he's
Oh
like holding.
yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I was like, wait a minute, this song would be so perfect for him. So in the future,
Goosebumps.
I
Ah,
know I plan to edit that.
Have you heard the I think it's Jada Facer version of that song?
Mm-mm,
You should
no.
listen to it. It's like a slowed down, very soft song. It's almost haunting and romantic at the same
Mm.
time. It's not super instrumental. It's more of like it's just the piano and her voice. It's so
What's
beautiful. Oh
her
my
name?
gosh.
I'm
It's
like
Jada.
Jada.
So yeah, yeah, Facer. Yeah.
Okay, I'll add this. I'll listen to it after this.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. And then other ones, I think like my approach with like songs with ships, like it's either like reflecting like the canon like
Yeah.
dynamic or it's just like a little fun, sexy little fantasy or whatever. Like so like I'd say like Iris is like more like a re realistic portrayal of like their dynamic right now, but then sometimes
Right.
I'll have songs like let me think. Um Uh, one sec. I'm trying to think of a good one to
No, that's
call.
okay.
Um, oh, like I'm a big like Arctic Monkeys fan, so like I love "Are You Mine," and that's like a really like punchy like rock song that has like a lot of energy, and it's like kind of this like just I don't know like interesting sexy dynamic between them that I could see. But
that's fun.
yeah,
The first time that I ever like had this in my head, but I don't do edits because like God give me patience, I cannot. Um, but it's not like a super common ship, but I fucking love them and am obsessed with them. And its canon is Sabrina Fairchild and Linus Larrabee from the 1995 Sabrina. And it's to Dirty Little Secret by the All American Rejects.
uh-huh, yeah,
That's such a fucking vibe for them and the way they started out in that movie. Like I have a whole fucking obsession with that movie that we're gonna discuss in depth at some point on the podcast. But like I just love them because like it's age gap and I
yes.
love them. It's precious. But I tend to do my playlists like for my books more so than for my ships.
Mm,
And like for Zoe and Roman, I can't stop listening to Something in the Orange by Zach Bryan.
Oh, that's a good one. I would love, this is more like mainstream, but I would love like we would need more scenes between the Ghoul and Lucy, but I would love like Guilty as Sin by Taylor Swift with
mm,
because yeah, I love that one. Or even just I don't know, like I think Halsey does a lot of good ones too for their Lana Del Rey has a lot of
yes.
good ones for the two of
Yeah.
them. Um,
Yeah,
but
I
like
think I oh sorry.
No, like Gods and Monsters by Lana Del Rey, I think is a really good one.
Yeah, and
Um,
I have West Coast and Ultraviolence on this playlist
yeah,
too.
but yeah, I think that that's just so much fun. But yeah, so do you have any other theories of what might happen just in general for the series?
Hmm. I don't know. Not off the top of my head. I honestly like. I'm realizing like I haven't thought about it that much. Like where I see it going. I guess I have. I guess I'm just still riding the high of them going off together. Like
Right.
I'm like, okay, they could do anything at this point and I'd be happy.
And
Um,
because Walton is so involved, it's like
mhm.
we can trust that like, okay, they're
Yeah,
not gonna fuck this up.
yeah, and I'm obviously still I still have like a healthy amount of skepticism. Like I don't expect us to get everything we want, but like just from what we've heard from Graham and Geneva and how they talk about the show and the writing, like I really trust them and I feel like they trust their audience.
Yeah. At least that they care enough about what their audience is saying, where my thing is you don't have to listen to us, but at least acknowledge us. Like, don't,
Mhm.
because you know how like some people just completely ignore the audience and they're like, I don't care about you. We're gonna do whatever. And it's like, okay, then we're not gonna watch if you don't give us something. But at the same time, I don't want them to just write a story just for the fans either. I want it to make sense within the structure that they've already set up.
Mhm.
Um,
I don't want them to pander
yeah,
or like just give me the ship for the sake of giving me my ship. It has to make sense in the world that they've set up and in the like the character motivations and the plot.
yeah,
But like for me, the miracle scenario is that all of these clues and everything has been adding up to us actually getting our ship in a way that makes sense in the story world and character motivations and the plot. Like that's the miracle scenario, the once in a lifetime, like they actually wrote a story that makes sense with, my actual little crack ship in mind, and I can die happy now. Like that's
Yeah.
I have my fingers crossed for her.
Yeah, where they really handle it with respect.
do you think, Jackie, what, so you ship Damon and Elena, and obviously I never watched the show. Who does Elena wind up getting with? I mean, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but like, does she end up with anyone once the show's over?
Yeah, I honestly didn't watch to the end. I think I gave up season 4 when when they got together.
Yeah.
But I think she ends up with Damon. If I'm not mistaken, I think
She
he
does.
becomes human. Oh, okay. Oh, you finished it, Chelsea?
Yeah. Well, I
Okay,
Oh,
so they do wind up together.
also
Okay.
stopped watching once they got together, but I did look up spoilers because I'm a
yeah,
hoe like that, and they did wind up together.
yeah.
Okay, that's actually good then because like in True Blood, Sookie wound up with some no-name asshole. Like you don't even see his face.
Really?
It
Wow.
really pissed me off because it's like, I don't know. I just think that like it's like that whole like, oh, she's gonna choose herself. And I'm like,
Yeah.
bitch, why did I spend 6 seasons for
Oh,
that?
oh, that reminds me. So I just remembered another ship. It was the last fandom I was in.
Yeah.
It was Shadow and Bone. Like,
Oh, okay.
I was like a dark
Oh, the
like the
Darkling.
Dumpling and Alina, and like they completely butchered it in season 2 where like it became a girl boss moment where like she rejected him and then her other love interest didn't end up wanting her anyway.
The
And it was
best friend,
just
right?
yeah, and it was just like a slap in the face because their relationship in the books was so nuanced
Yeah.
and just to have it like thrown away like that's also what I don't like about shows now. I feel like writers like there's like this epidemic of like the lead female character needing to be like a girl
Masculine?
boss.
Yeah,
Yeah,
needs to be
masculine and
masculine.
just like rejecting romance or like any sort of
It's
gray
like
area.
romance has become a dirty word,
Mhm.
honestly. And like
Yeah.
romance has become something like we shouldn't want. And like excuse the fuck out of me, but I definitely do.
Well,
Yeah.
it's my thing is like without gosh, without towing the line about what like what it means to be a feminist or pro women or whatever, how come I can't have everything that I want? Why do I have to sacrifice one or the other? And as a woman, I love love. I love love with a guy like Cooper Howard, and I want to see that projected. Like I like I remember, I think was it Tangled? That was like the last Disney princess falling in love movie. I know Frozen kind of, but that was more like family oriented than, oh, the point is that they're going to like go on this adventure and fall in love together. And I'm like, I'm fine if you want to have like a balance of it where not every single movie is about that, but you can still give me some movies with it. Like that's why I'm watching it, like because I completely agree. Like, I'm fine if the girl is independent and self-sufficient, but I want her to want her husband or her partner or whatever. Like, I like the girl needing to be saved. Like, she can be a badass and try to save herself, but then winds up knocked out. Like, and then Cooper has to come in and save her. Like, I want
Yeah.
shit like that, like, or I, I like that. And I feel like people are saying now like or it feels like in mainstream, romance or whatever that it's like oh we can't have that because that's like in this bygone era of like whatever that means. Like it's just I don't like the epidemic of the girl boss. Like I'm just over it.
Yeah, and I'm optimistic because I think at least with Shadow and Bone, like it was based off like a YA series, so I think in some way they're trying to make it like a lesson for like younger audience members and young women. But I think with Fallout, there it really is so nuanced, and it in the world itself, like it's not this black and white, like morally upright place. Like it makes sense for them to deviate from those norms in
Well,
the
and
story.
I think too, like I had hope because of who Lucy was as a character outside of everybody too. Like she's not a girl boss. Like she's competent and she's smart, but even when Monty was like throwing her around, like it wasn't like she was beating the shit out of him. Like no, Lucy got her ass kicked. She fought back, but she got her ass kicked because she is very petite compared to Monty, and that was very realistic. And so, like, even gradually over the course of the 8 episodes, you see her learn and grow. And that is what I loved so much about her character, where she didn't start out as a badass because I'm like,
Mhm.
how am I supposed to, like, I'm not a badass. Like, I want to see this girl from the vault. Like, how would that make sense? Like, if she was a badass? Um, but yeah, I completely agree with you 100%. And like you said, I think that so far the writers have given me enough reason to give them the benefit of the doubt. But anyway, Chelsea, do you have any final questions or anything like that?
Nope, I am good. Well,
Awesome.
one
Yes.
final statement, and that is like, even if somebody is a girl boss, I don't think that having a love life or having a romantic arc, like even Beth Dutton, I don't think that undermines how badass you are. And we shouldn't be expected to have one or the other, but not both.
I
And
think
that's basically it.
no, I don't even know if I would characterize Beth as a girl. For me, at least the girl boss is like she's perfect in every like she doesn't need a man. And Beth doesn't necessarily like I still think that there is that part of her that she's humanized by Rip. Does that make sense? Like she can finally
Yeah,
let herself be vulnerable with Rip. And so she does need that because if she doesn't, then she's going to isolate herself with all of this stuff, with all of her like bitterness and hatred and all of these things because of everything that's happened to her. And I think that Rip really brings out that vulnerability in her. And so I
right,
don't associate necessarily with her, the girl boss, because when she is with Rip, she is so vulnerable. Like she doesn't
right,
have to be tough all the time. But I
right.
completely
Love
agree with what
that
you're saying.
about them. And like, I love that she's a bad bitch, but that she will be soft and
Yeah,
vulnerable with Rip. And I love that they're like, that they lean on each other and that they're like, they both will kick ass all day long, but that their romantic arc and how soft they are with each other doesn't undermine the rest of their character.
right. Yeah. But anyway, Jackie, thank you so much for just sitting and talking to us. We really, really appreciate your time. You have no idea. This was so much fun.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I feel the same way. I was so honored when I saw your comment. I was like, oh my God, like I feel like so seen. It's just so nice to like because like when I make these videos, like I really think of it as like telling my own story or like making some sort of argument about this dynamic, and to see people like interpret it the same way that I did. I want to talk about it and like really pick up on like the little things that I put together. Like, it's just such a dream come true as a video editor. So I just really appreciate you guys wanting to talk
Oh
to me.
yeah. No, of course. We're probably
Absolutely.
gonna ask you back. Like obviously when you make more videos and when we get closer and closer to season 2. So thank you again. And yeah, we really appreciate your time.
And thank you for all the time and effort that you've contributed to the fandom making
Yeah.
these videos. And like, thank you for contributing your talent. That's like, it's incredible. We appreciate it so much.
Yeah,
Thank
because
you.
it takes so much thought and time into what you're doing, just like Chelsea said. And it's just, yeah, it's just so, I always get so excited watching it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so perfect. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, of course. All right, we'll talk soon. Bye.
Okay.